So as we've been going through these sounds, you're probably wondering what all these controls do. So to demonstrate this, I've loaded up Haiwa, which is another instrument that Cornelius put together, and it's inspired by 80s Japanese ambient with some really cool textures. I'll play first to just give you a feel for what it's about. So to start off, I'll actually skip these main animations and go right down to the bottom global tab. The first parameters you see here let you set the key and the scale that you're working on. So this preset's in E major, but I can easily change it here to say F minor harmonic. So you can change that to whatever the key you're currently working in, or let it inspire the beginnings of a new track. The next parameters here let you set the lower and upper bound of the chord engine. This allows you to create a split where you have chords on one side and a bass line on the other, or vice versa. Coming over here, we can change if the chord engine is working for both layers or just one of the layers. So right now it's working on layer 2, but we can change it to work on both layers as well. And this button just lets us turn off the chord generation entirely. So the next tab here is for dispersion. This is a really interesting effect that you can either use to create kind of strumming effects or arpeggiation and add some randomness to the sound. So the first setting here lets you change the order that the notes are stacked in. So we're in up right now, and as I play, you'll hear the notes go up in the chord. But I can change it to down, or multiple random options. And you can hear it's a bit different each time I play. So the first animation here sets the time between each note in the chord. If I bring it all the way down, you should hear the chord play all together. And as I increase it, you'll move from a kind of strummed effect to arpeggiation. And if you want, you can sync this to the host tempo using this quantize control. I'll set it to 1/8 notes. And note, if you change the animation again, it will go back to free time. So also on the dispersion tab, we have these controls for random velocity and random time. These allow you to add a more human feel to whatever you're playing. I'll demonstrate that as I play. This way, each time you play a chord, there's a bit of variation between it. So the second of these main animations sets the inversion, or the probability of the notes being played in random octaves. I'll demonstrate that as I play. This is nice for creating kind of generative, shimmery patterns. Coming over to the third main control and its associated tab, we have repetition. From here, we have modes for one-shot, arpeggiation, and looping. So this preset was in one-shot, meaning when you play a chord, it just plays once. But if I put it into loop mode, based on the timing here, you'll hear repetitions of the notes. And you can get some really interesting results by differing what the dispersion time is and what the looping time is. Here I'll put it to a longer loop. The next mode is arpeggiation, which is similar but allows you to play multiple chords and it will change which one is playing each time. You can kind of create automatic chord progressions this way. We also have settings for the time division and the arpeggiation mode, whether it's going up, down, or random from what you played. I'll adjust it a bit more as I play. So to go over these top macros, I'm going to load up a different patch so we have a different starting place. Let's hear how birds sounds. So the first of these three macros adjusts the pitch warble, or a random pitch offset to each new note. I'll increase it as I play. This is nice for creating kind of lo-fi vintage effects. The second macro is the layer blend between the two chords layers. And if I have the control in the center, you'll hear each layer at the same volume. Last, we have the filter frequency. I'll show you that now. And of course, like any parameter in FFOSSO, you can right-click, hit Learn CC, and map it to any controller. So that covers all the main front panel controls of chords, but for those who want to go a bit deeper, you can access the advanced settings here. In the Chords engine, we have three tabs: Layers, Chords, and Effects. I'll start here with Layers. Here we have controls for the blend mode between the two layers, the envelope, as well as some deeper settings for each of the layers. I'll play around with that a bit so you can hear what they do. The last box here is for the noise layer, which is something unique to chords. We can control the level of the noise, the type, vinyl, cassette, tape echo, etc., as well as whether it's triggered by the key or always running in the background. I'll choose cassette for now. I'll choose it to be gated by the key, and then play with the filter to get the sound that I want. You can hear how this brings a lot of texture to the sound. From there, we have controls over the filtering, low pass and high pass of the noise, as well as a EQ band if you want to get a bit deeper with it. So to go over to the next tab, Chords, I'll switch presets so we have something different to work with. Let's hear how Kumo sounds. Nice. So here we have settings for which chord shape is for each chord, as well as the spread and inversion. Right now the first chord is set to add 9 wide, but I'll try some different ones. Cool. Then we also have settings for the spread of the chord, either narrow or wide. Sounds like this. Just creates more of an octave range between the notes you're playing. And then inversion, which changes the order of the notes in the chord. Then at the top, we have options for parallel shift, which uses the first chord across all of the keys of the keyboard. And then octave double, which adds another octave to whatever you're playing, creating a more full sound. Last, we'll come over to the Effects tab, where we have a lot of cool sound shaping capabilities. Each of these main knobs controls the amount or mix of the effect, and if you hit the drop down, you can see some deeper parameters. I'll mess around with this a bit and see where it can take us. You can already hear this can take us to some really interesting places. And if you ever want to get back to square one to hear what the original sound was, we have a bypass effects button here in the top right. Next, I think I'll show you a few more patches from Hyla to give you a feel for what's possible. So you can hear how some of the patches actually have some field recordings added into. Let's switch to waves. Next, I'll load up abalone.